Well, here we are. What we're going to do, and I think everybody's probably noticed that there's been a kind of a way these things have gone. I'm going to try and play a different song for every episode. So today what we're going to do is go, this is Tom MacDonald with his lady Nova Rockafeller and Mr. Brandon Hart. The name of the song is No Good Bastards, and this has been kind of one of my favorites of the week. So without further ado, we're going to lead into this with just a little music, lighten the mood.
I'm not big on fighting these days, but I don't call the cops. And I'm not big on scrapping lately. When I start, I don't stop. I just need one more person to hate me, talk that talk. One more problem might make me kill them all. I'm a heartbreaker, ass kicker. I'm a hot trigger, nasty words. I got 2 fingers for ass kissers. I'm an asshole dirtbag, no good bastard. Look, it's no more Mr. Nice Guy, so go ahead and get mad. I'll show you how easy I turn a tough guy to a dead man. I ain't your buddy, haters are obsessed fans. If we were buddies, trust I'd crack a bud just like a red can. Bedpan full of piss and vinegar. Head scan said that I'm not crazy, but I'm similar. Let's dance, lead hands, homie, you get slept fast. Trust me, you're a midget, I'm a monster. Every slap I throw's a finisher. I just need one more person to hate me, talk that talk. One more problem might make me kill them all. I'm a heartbreaker, ass kicker. I'm a hot trigger, nasty words. I got 2 fingers for ass kissers. I'm an asshole dirtbag, no good bastard.
Turn your ass to a crackhead, you must love getting rocked. Take your door off with a flat head and take everything that you got. Hey, whoa, don't make me put in my purse. We don't need Gucci on curves. You think you bad, I'm the worst in your family to church. So baby, don't get on my nerves. Like, I don't know about these hoes, all I know is how we go. We're non-stop, we're reload. If you talking, I see ghosts. You groupie, baby, I'm different. Think you know hell, well, I'll show you it. I was born in hell, double knows me well. I'll return with a list like Moses did.
I just need one more person to hate me, talk that talk. One more problem might make me kill them all. I'm a heartbreaker, ass kicker. I'm a hot trigger, nasty words. I got 2 fingers for ass kissers. I'm an asshole dirtbag, no good bastard.
It's not that Gucci anthem, but I guess nothing wrong. Now I heard that song, and I've been telling some stories lately about, excuse me, things from the past and old stories and bullshit, like Bradley from Sublime would say, lies, stories, tales, and exaggerations. But I heard that song the other day, and I started thinking about these 2 characters that I knew back in the day up on Mount Hood, and one of them, we called him, his nicknames were Rubby or the Rear Admiral, and then we had the Cyclops. And this is going to be a little story about the Cyclops. Now, see, the Cyclops, he only had one eye, and he'd like to do a little hijinks with one eye. He'd like to take the eye out and drop it in people's drinks. And he especially liked to drop the eyeball in the Rear Admiral's drink. And so if you've ever been up to Mount Hood, there's a little bar called the Rathskellars where everybody hangs out. It's a lot more commercialized now, but back in the day, it was a pretty local joint. Like, if you were considered a local, you went in and you got a free drink to start your evening off. They just called it your local. And so I'd been gone for a while, and I ventured back up there, and got my old job back, and I'd gone into the Rat after work, and Rubby, aka the Rear Admiral, sitting there, and he's got this guy next to him, and I'd never met him before. I really didn't say anything. I just sat down, I think I got a wild turkey with a hog's back is what we would call that, because you could get a shot, and then you could also get a beer back with it. So hey, more bang for your buck. Get a wild turkey and almost a pint of beer. So I'm sitting there, and all of a sudden, this dude looks over at me. He's on my left side, and he looks over at me, and he's got this eyeball the thing ain't right. I'm like, what in the world is going on there? I look over at my buddy Dog, and I'm like, what the hell's going on with this guy's eye? He's like, oh yeah, it's Cyclops. I'm like, Cyclops, huh? Okay, I guess I can understand that. And he looks at me again. I mean, this thing is like going all wonky. Like, it's like, what the hell? What is it? It's all milky and like cloudy and shit. It's like, Jesus Christ. So, the Rear Admiral gets up. Like a lot of bars, the status quo is, you take your, if you got a coaster or whatever, you take it and you put it right on top of your glass just to show somebody sitting there. So Rubby does that. And mind you, the Rear Admiral had probably the worst feet that I've ever smelled in my entire life. I mean, just horrid. I mean, you talk about a smell that's like cross between like, sour milk, old onions. I mean, like week old soup. I mean, we had to talk him into peeing on his feet at one point if he ever took a shower. I'd be like, hey, dude, when he takes a shower, go pee on your feet, man. You gotta get rid of that smell. But he was kind of a hard ass dude. He didn't take a lot of shit off anybody, and so this is the first time I witnessed this. So he gets up, he goes in the bathroom, right? Goes to hang a leak, and this dude, I look over, and he just pops that eyeball right out of his head. I'm like, well, that's interesting. So he takes the thing, puts it in his mouth, swishes it around, reaches over, pulls the coaster off of the Rear Admiral's drink, and he drops that eyeball right in there, puts the thing back on. Now he's sitting there, he's got no eye in, right? Which is weird looking. And I don't even know this cat. I mean, this is the first day I've ever met him, and I'm going, man, I like this guy already. I mean, but he's weird, but he's funny as hell, because this is going to be crazy when Rubby gets back and he sees it, And I'm just sitting there, we're just like, everybody's just acting like no big deal. Crazy shit went on up there at that place. Like, I mean, on the 4th of July, we used to go in there and we'd be inside, like, shooting bottle rockets at each other inside this bar. I mean, it was really anything went. I mean, there was a post office next door, and if people were smoking weed, that's where they'd go, was in the post office. I mean, being there, smoking a joint, and here comes, somebody checking their mail. And say, oh, hey, can I have a hit of that? Oh, yeah, sure. I mean, the police only came through there like once a week. The highway patrol, the stagers would come through once in a while. But like 4th of July, you had, there was, Crazy Bob and Tattoo Bob. Tattoo Bob didn't have any tattoos. Crazy Bob had a lot of tattoos. Kind of weird. But Crazy Bob would shoot mortars, Roman candles, fireworks out of his butt crack. And he'd go out in the street and do this. And anyway, I'm getting off on a whole different story. The first time I saw that, the cops actually did pull up, and they had their spotlight on him, and he's sitting there, and he's got his pants down like around his knees, and his butt's hanging out, and his old lady is sitting there, and she's lighting fireworks off out of his ass, and you could tell the state they didn't want to get out of the vehicle. I mean, they're like looking, they're just in there. You could tell they're trying not to laugh. They're covering their faces and shit. And we're just all out there on the street just laughing our asses off because the dude had a Roman candle up his butt crack, and the thing's sitting there going, pew, pew, pew. Anyway, that's the type of stuff that went on. That's for a different story. But so anyway, the Rear Admiral gets back from his potty break, and the Cyclops is just sitting there staring straight forward, just acting nonchalant. Rear Admiral takes his coaster, picks it up off his drink, He He's got his drink there, right? Grabs his drink. Looks down in it like this. Looks over at him. And just flies off the chair. Tackles the Cyclops off the back of his bar stool. Right, these are like high back bar chairs, like you typically have at a place, And onto the ground they go. And the Ratskiller was the kind of place where you had a lot of, they weren't necessarily stray dogs, but they weren't dogs with collars, tags, probably didn't have shots, who knows. But there was a fireplace there, and there was a few of them that come in, they'd put out like a bowl of like the old burn-off beer, and the dogs would come in, and they'd lay down by the fire, and they'd, lap up a little beer, fall asleep. And you could throw shit on the floor, so it wasn't the cleanest floor in the world. So, the rear admiral just takes off, just tackles him off the back of the chair, and they go into like WWE mode. They're rolling around on the floor. There wasn't any punches thrown. There was a lot of cursing and shit like that. And most everybody in there just kind of acted like, this happens. I'm sitting there watching, but I'm just losing it. I mean, I'm dying. I'm like, what the hell? And the rear admiral finally gets him in like a chokehold and gets him to tap out and, promise that he'll never do that again. Well, from what I understand, that's not necessarily the case, and it seems like this is something that happens frequently anyhow. And so they climb back into their bar stools, and the Cyclops sits down and he reaches over into Rubby's drink. I don't know what his drink. It was vodka tonic, something like that. It had ice cubes in it. And it was clear, so I'm guessing that's a gin and tonic, vodka tonic, something like that. But he reaches over and puts his hand down in there, plucks that eyeball out, pops it in his mouth, swishes around, puts it back in his eye socket, right? And this thing is muddy, cloudy, this looks like a marble like that you used your whole life in grade school, out on the schoolyard, He looks over at me, and the thing is going like, it's like going up and to the side in this cloudy, milky, like, have you ever seen a dog that is going blind? You know how they get that milky eye look? The thing is going like just completely sideways, and I'm just laughing. I'm like, dude, I'm Mike, brother, how you doing, And he's like, oh, I heard about you, I was like, okay. I was like, what in the hell is going on with that eyeball, man? And he proceeds to tell me the story about, when he was a little kid, how he was playing football and with his uncle, and that his uncle's trying to teach him how to do a button hook route, and he goes out from him and he turns around with that button hook route, and the ball was already on him. Apparently his uncle had quite an arm, and he just winged it at him, and I guess he couldn't get his hands up, and the point of that thing went like right between like the bridge of his nose and his eye, and apparently just popped the eyeball. He said it popped out, and I'm guessing it was just kind of hanging by the optic nerve. And like he says, like his dad came out with a towel and threw it over his head. I shouldn't laugh because it's not funny, but and then they threw him in the car and drove him down to the hospital, and apparently by then it was too late, and so he'd had that same glass eye from the time he was a little kid. And if that eye could talk, I would imagine that it would have some stories to tell, because I would guess that thing's probably been in urinals and toilets, God knows what else. Who knows? Just to watch a dude pull that eye out, pop it in his mouth, swish it around, and then just right back in. And every time I'd see him, it would be focused it would be looking in a different direction. He couldn't tell. He just put the thing in his, I guess, whatever, man. I guess it adds to the mystique of who you are or something, but I just thought that was a funny story. And when I was listening to that Tom MacDonald song called No Good Bastards, I was thinking, that's the Rear Admiral and the Cyclops. And I was up there. I did a couple of stints up there, and this was the second one that I was up there, and this was something that happened like on a weekly basis. And the two guys were friends. I mean, they would come in there together after work. You know, we all worked together, and he'd just wait for the time when the rear admiral would let his guard down, and you know, he'd get up to move. I mean, it just, and here we go again. And you know, after I saw this transpire a couple times, I realized why the locals and the bartenders and nobody even really did anything about it. Just, hey, here they go again. You know, the dogs would kind of like get up and move out of the way because these two idiots are rolling around on the floor. And oh God! You know, the funny thing is, he sticks his hand in the drink, pulls out the eyeball, swishes it off, puts it back in, and the rear admiral grabs his drink and just starts, you know, like, hey, there's enough vodka or gin or whatever's in there. It'll kill whatever. I mean, these are not guys that were known for taking a nightly shower. The personal hygiene was definitely, how do we say it, not beyond reproach. I mean, you could smell the rear admiral's feet when he would walk into a place. It was that bad. You know what I'm saying? That sour milk. I mean, we all got that bad pair of shoes. You know, I got some. You know, they're what they are. Throw some baking soda in there. Do something. If they don't come back from that, you gotta throw them shits in the trash can. But anyway, I don't know. I guess this week we're kind of getting nostalgic and telling some old stories about some characters that I've ran into along the way, and that I'd love to see again. I mean, I don't know how much I'd pay to have those two sitting here in the studio right now and watch that whole act play out again. I guarantee it would, at one point or another. And I mean, that would be absolutely hilarious. I mean, it's almost like it's like a scene from Jackass. I mean, this guy would do this shit to, like, you know, every once in a while. I mean, this is a locals place only, really. I mean, if you're not a local and you come in there, it's like you're getting a cold shoulder. You're not going to get service. It really, like I said, there was like back then there was maybe 250 people that lived in this village. I mean, so if you weren't from around there and you walk in, good luck. I mean, they had a band called Fingers and Chili. They sang a song about Rainier. It's a good beer. It's what we drink around here. And everybody drank tall cans of Rainier. I mean, they had pallets of the stuff in the back. And, you know, everybody raised their can. And, I mean, 4th of July, shoot fireworks off inside the bar. Or Crazy Bob would shoot him out of his ass crack outside. There was another cat up there that, he was old. He was older, too, when I was there. I was like 23, 24 at that time. And this dude, he was like 50. And him and his old lady, they lived in a Volkswagen bus. And they worked the bungee tower. And he got fired for jumping off without having a harness on. He just jumped into the airbag. No, I mean, it was up there. It was like 100 feet up. And so he got run off for that. But he always rode this longboard. And across the street from the Rockafeller was just like, it was like a mini little forest, like with pine trees and like a little trail. And they actually had like places you could sit up there. They had logs and stuff that people would set out. And there was even, I think, a fire pit, if I remember right. So I remember one summer day we're sitting there, and, you know, you'd have tourists would drive through Government Camp is the name of the place. And I mean, there's just nothing. You pull off Highway 26 in Oregon, and you go up, and you've got, on your left, you've got some homes. At least this was back in the day. Now I've heard that it's been developed by now. But you'd have the post office on your left. You'd have the Rockafeller. You'd have the Vans. There was a Vans skate and snowboard camp right next to the Rockafeller with a skate park out in front. And then on the right side of the road, you had Charlie's, which is the only other bar. You go up and you had like the general store and the Huckleberry Inn. Great Huckleberry pie, by the way. Damn fine. And then really the only thing left, you had the Palmer Lodge on the right, and then at the end you had the Chevron. And that was all there was. So people would drive through unknowingly, and this Bruce guy, I mean, and this is a little bit explicit, but he would, he'd unzip his pants, and he, you know, how do I say this gracefully? He'd let the one-eyed clown hang out, and he'd start riding that longboard at the car coming up the street, and then he could maneuver this deal where he'd flip the board over on its nose, and he'd act like he had, you know, crashed, and he would fall into the hood of the car, roll across. Meanwhile, you know, you've got his one-eyed clown is flopping around, and he'd roll off the hood and go pick up his board, and he'd start yelling at the people. And I mean, you want to talk about hilarious? I mean, you know these people didn't even know. I mean, he's sitting there and he's got his junk hanging out, and he's screaming at him, and they think that they hit him with the car, and he's just messing with them. And you've got these people like from Portland that are just up there on like a weekend drive or whatever. You know, they probably just got out of church or who knows what, and they got this guy flopping off their hood. And we're all sitting up in the trees watching it happen, just roaring. I mean, absolutely hysterical. All kinds of stuff like that went on up there all the time. It was crazy. It was good times. But, I don't know. Anyway, this one was for the Cyclops. Cyclops, if you're out there anywhere, I hope you hear this. I really do. I hope some of these stories get back to the people that I've told them about, you know. Last one was about Irish Mike. I doubt that one will ever get back to that guy. Who knows where or what ever happened to him, or if he ever really even was. Yeah. Anyway, I don't know. That's what it is. A lot of characters out there on the planet, and I've had the good fortune of running into quite a number of them. So, just a little short one for today. I'm gonna put that together, put it out there. Hope y'all are doing well. Peace out. Enjoy the rest of your day.
I'm not big on fighting these days, but I don't call the cops. And I'm not big on scrapping lately. When I start, I don't stop. I just need one more person to hate me, talk that talk. One more problem might make me kill them all. I'm a heartbreaker, ass kicker. I'm a hot trigger, nasty words. I got 2 fingers for ass kissers. I'm a asshole dirtbag, no good bastard. Look, it's no more Mr. Nice Guy, so go ahead and get mad. I'll show you how easy I turn a tough guy to a dead man. I ain't your buddy, haters are obsessed fans. If we were buddies, trust I'd crack a bud just like a red can. Bedpan full of piss and vinegar. Head scan said that I'm not crazy, but I'm similar. Let's dance, lead hands, homie, you get slapped fast. Trust me, you're a midget, I'm a monster. Every slap I throw's a finisher. I just need one more person to hate me, talk that talk. One more problem might make me kill them all. I'm a heartbreaker, ass kicker. I'm a hot trigger, nasty words. I got 2 fingers for ass kissers. I'm an asshole dirtbag, no good bastard.
Turn your ass to a crackhead, you must love getting rocked. Take your door off with a flat head and take everything that you got. Hey, whoa, don't make me put in my purse. We don't need Gucci on curbs. You think you bad, I'm the worst in your family to church. So baby, don't get on my nerves. Like, I don't know about these hoes, all I know is how we go. We're non-stop, we're reload. If you talking, I see ghosts. You groupie, baby, I'm different. Think you know hell, well, I'll show you it. I was born in hell, devil knows me well. I return with a list like Moses did.
I just need one more person to hate me, talk that talk. One more problem might make me kill them all. I'm a heartbreaker, ass kicker. I'm a hot trigger, nasty words. I got 2 fingers for ass kissers. I'm an asshole. asshole, dirtbag, no good bastard. I don't call for backup, keep those comments to yourself. Bunch of cop calling pussies afraid to handle shit themselves. We was raised by the wolves, we ain't afraid to bleed, it helps. Sort the men from the boys, the have-nots from the wealth. With God as my witness, I'll leave you where you stand. If you flex, that's your death, we do it more than throwing hands. You better give me 6 feet when I come through, back the fuck up. Guaranteed to leave you bleeding if you make me back this truck up. I just need one more person to hate me.